Why hello there, my name is Mountain, and today I'd like to talk to you about this. And what is this, you might ask? Well, this is the Aer Day Sling 3 Max 6-liter, and it is part of Aer's new lineup that just dropped in March of 2022. As the name suggests, this is the largest version of the Aer Day series of slings and a completely new design, or a slightly updated design, I guess I would say, for that Aer Day series of slings. And it's actually the largest sling outside of their travel sling series that Aer makes. Now, its main claim to fame is that it is probably one of the very best sling solutions in the market today that is capable of carrying not only a host of EDC and urban use essentials, as you can see from a quick glance inside this bag, but also comfortably and intentionally accommodating an 11-inch iPad Pro with the Magic cover, keyboard cover attached. This is a surprisingly and remarkably under-supported category of the sling market that up until now has left members of the tablet tribe, amongst which I count myself, with precious few decent choices without going on into full-size choices such as, the travel sling, which is almost like a backpack or a messenger, or full-blown messenger-style bags. Now, additional strengths of this bag include the high degree of useful EDC organization and pocketing that is typical of Aer, and again, I've kind of shown you this, and I'll go through this in a little bit here. The typical high quality materials and build quality that we've come to expect from Aer. It's among the very best in what I would say is a generally available consumer level price point, which is to say, if you go into like niche bags or more enthusiast bags, you'll find higher levels of refinement, but for stuff you can go and buy in most places very easily for a very reasonable price, this is some of the best quality out there. And also, I would say that you can also note that it has this well executed balance between a relatively compact type of sling bag, relatively svelte design, but also a highly usable amount of interior space. You can kind of see this has a fair amount of volume that it is capable of actually carrying. It's 6 liters, but it handles that 6 liters fairly well. On the other hand, some of the admittedly relatively minor areas of improvement of this bag are the strap. You've kind of seen it sort of flapping around in the back there. It's very comfortable and it's appropriately sized, but I found it wasn't as easy to adjust as some other straps out there because of the way that there's only a single adjustment point and it has a high degree of friction. So you really need to use both hands. You can't just like pull it to shorten it or tighten it as you like. And whether that's a big issue or not depends largely if you're in the clip-in, clip-out type of crowd, because it does have this fidlock buckle here, or if you're more like the don it and cinch it tight type of crowd. Additionally, while I appreciate the relatively streamlined and svelte design, I found it a little bit fussy when trying to set down the bag. Like it just always seems to lay awkwardly, like either this big lump here or also on its face. I couldn't really get it to stand up very well, and the strap was kind of dangling everywhere, as mentioned. And finally, while the bag does easily hold an 11-inch iPad Pro with the keyboard cover, I did feel like the tablet pocket, and we'll talk about this when I talk about the interior section here, I felt like it was just a slightly bit fussy. It could have used slightly bit more structure in order to enable a slightly easier in and out, although as you can see, it does go in and out quite easily. There's a little bit of frictions that I'll talk about here in this. Now, while this sling has just gone on sale, I'd like to thank Aer for sending me this sling early for review. I've been using it as my daily carry sling for about a month and a couple weeks now, I think. And while this sling was provided to me for review, I do want to be clear that the opinions expressed in this video are my very own, and Aer will not have a chance to see this video before it goes live. So, with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about who this sling is for and who I think it's not for. So, in terms of who I think this sling is for, well, I think first and foremost, folks that want to carry an iPad Pro with a keyboard cover and have enough EDC organization and space for that kind of those EDC goods for a productive but highly mobile day out in the town without going into full backpack mode. My friends, your day has arrived, tablet tribe, my fellow tablet folks, your day has arrived. This sling is perfect solution for you, I think. If you're fans of Aer's aesthetic, but you want something between maybe their Day Sling 2 size and maybe their full-on like travel messenger sling size, like this is also going to be a great kind of in-between option for you as well. Now, in terms of who this is not for, well, first and foremost, it's not going to be a good choice for the laptop homies. You're not going to be able to fit a laptop in here. It very squarely tops out at like an 11-inch iPad Pro with a keyboard cover. And then if you're a person who wants to carry bulky things, like this sling has enough room not to feel super cramped on the inside, and I'll show you, like you can fit like a small camera in here or something like that. But if you're looking to carry like a big water bottle, bulky headphones or whatever, I mean, it's just not going to fit in this sling. You can, it doesn't defy the laws of physics, as some bags seemingly do. Like this one has definitely got its limits here. So if you got a bunch of bulky stuff, you're going to want a different type of sling, maybe the Bellroy Venture sling might be a good option for you. And finally, and maybe on the opposite side, minimalist. So this is a 6-liter sling, and its main claim to fame is it's designed to carry an 11-inch iPad Pro with a keyboard cover. So if you're like a minimalist who only wants like just pockets plus, like, you know, just a little bit more room than for your wallet and keys or something else, like this is going to be overkill for you. There are definitely going to be smaller slings that you won't need to carry like the additional weight or size for if that's all you need. So next, let's talk about the exterior materials and the design and all that. First of all, you got that typical black on black on black Aer design and materials, Cordura nylon, AquaGuard zips, Fidlock buckle on the strap here, a little bit of Hypalon detailing storm guard, zipper on the front here, and then the regular YKK zips reverse coiled here. Just your standard like high quality Aer materials. Again, like I said, some of the very best at the generally available consumer price points on here. I actually didn't mind this zipper as much as I did on some of their other kind of bags. And I'll talk a little bit about it when I talk about the main or the front pocket area here. This little hanging loop is handy. It seemed a little bit goofy to me. It's just kind of like, hello, I'm here. Sort of useful if you're hanging it up on a hook on a wall or something like that, but it's just something I thought was a little bit interesting here. As is typical for Aer, the bag itself is not waterproof despite the usage of this Storm Guard zipper here. You know, it has a little bit of resistance to water, but like water definitely will get inside during any kind of sustained downpour or anything like that. I generally don't have too many problems with Aer bags showing lots of wear or anything like that. You can see it did get a little bit of a stain, a little bit of just like dust or something like that, but actually not too bad considering a little bit of stain here, but this will actually wipe off in my experience. On some bags made out of Cordura nylon like this, and they're constantly kind of like swaying against your side or something like that, you will eventually develop a little bit of a sheen. I don't usually have that problem with Aer bags because this one tends to be a little bit more pendulous and hangs a little bit lower against the hip because of the design. Rather than being cinched up tight. It might be a possibility that will happen, you know, after many months or maybe a year or two of wear, but at least for right now, the bag is still in pretty good shape, considering what I put it through for the last month and a half. I did mention that this is sort of, not sort of, this is the Aer Day Sling 3 Max, and so if we look at the original Day Sling, which is this one out here. This is like the V1 and there's like a V2 now. You can definitely see like there's a difference, a very different structure and style to that. And just for a point of comparison, like this is 6 liters. I think this is 4.5. If we look at something like, again, this is the V1, but this is like the old travel sling. Like you can see this one is like 12 liters or so. You can see that, you know, there's kind of a step up in size and progression, and certainly from the side. Well, I guess one of these is filled up, the others are flat, but you can kind of see. Sits very nicely in between there. Now, you see the bag flopping down here, and that gets us into like what the bag's design is when it's being set down. The shape is nice and svelte, but I found it's awkward when I set it on a chair, sometimes even when I'm handling it. Like the sloping at the bottom, you can see there is this nice slope here. Helps streamline it visually when you're wearing the bag and in practice, but it also means like there's no easy way for it to set down, so it's always flopping around. That's exacerbated by the kind of dense nature of the bag when it's fully loaded up, and the way that you've got this tablet here, which kind of almost forces it to stay rigid and can't be squished down. Like there is this hanging hook. Here's how this became expressed for me in the usage here. I would go to a cafe or I go to a desk or something like that where I'm sitting, and I didn't have any good way of like attaching this, dealing with this bag. Like I couldn't, like normally with slings, I would tighten up the strap, and you can sort of tighten this one up, but then because it's really frictionful actually, and then you kind of try and hang it on the back of the chair like this. This one was so heavy and the shape was a little bit pendulous. I think it's just the density and the shape of it, and also the strap is such a pain in the butt to adjust like this. But I actually didn't find that worked out that well. And then if I had a hero hook, or a hero clip with me, I could clip it onto here and then hang it from the back of the chair. But I always felt like this hook was so awkward, so I never keep a hero hook attached to this thing. And then that means that usually I would just leave it laying on the table like this, you know, next to me, taking up some space. It would be great if it would stand up. And then you've got this strap just everywhere. There's no easy way to stowing the strap like you can on something like the Day Sling 3, for example. And this is a fairly minor point overall, but I just found that it was something that was a little bit annoying. It was like probably the most annoying interaction I had with the bag daily. In general, I'm a big fan of this bag, but just this one, I was like, oh, I wish there's some, to not have this here or flopping here. Like this bothers me because it's off kilter like this. Anyway, I wish it would just go, oh, or have some easy way to hang it. Anyway, but that having been said, overall, there's lots to love about this design. This is a bag that isn't and doesn't look big, and yet somehow never really feels cramped inside within reason. I like that there's almost like this little pleat. You can kind of see right now I got some stuff in it, so it's kind of filled up. But like when you don't have stuff inside of it, like this bag has a tendency to kind of just fold a little bit flat here a little bit. It just kind of helps absorb some of that visual bulk if needed. And finally, like this broad, flat back of the bag really helps stabilize it when it's worn, because you have this broad surface area. So it helps it prevent from swaying as much as something this dense and heavy might. Anyway, overall, I like the design of this bag. So next, let's talk about the exterior pockets of this bag. Now, I already briefly alluded to this AquaGuard zipper. Aer likes to use these for looks, not for function, because the bag itself is not waterproof, so it doesn't matter whether the zipper is waterproof or not. And one of the trade-offs sometimes is it becomes very forceful or frictionful to open and close this zipper. And what I found with this one, like with some bags like the Aer Day Sling 3, which I previously reviewed, I'll leave a link in the description below, I found it was a really frictionful interaction that I needed to use my hands, both times to open and close the bag. With this one, I found that in actuality, I could open it relatively easily with one hand because the bag is so heavy when it's loaded up because it's holding a tablet, and it kind of distributes that in this broad surface that stabilizes. To close it, I generally found I needed two hands. You can see like it is doable with one hand, but usually I would find myself putting one hand here and then it's just really easy to close this. Anyway, definitely a little bit less frictionful interaction than I've had with some other AquaGuard zippers on here. So let's talk about this front pocket here. It's a big, simple dump pocket. So now you're looking in from the top view of the bag here. A big, simple dump pocket, no extra organization in here other than just the big pocket and the key leash, which I'll talk about in a second. I like that because it was really easy to just throw a bunch of stuff in here, yet still be able to access it. It has a little bit, I don't know if I would say it has its own dimension, but the way that it's sort of designed makes it very easy to access what you put inside of here without having to like sometimes the pockets are too flat and you have to kind of push them open and fishing. Like it doesn't feel tight. So inside of here right now I have chapstick, gotta keep your lips moist, some alcohol for sanitizing my hands. I've got a night core flashlight because you never know. And then I've got my car keys here on this attached key hook, and it's a decent key hook. I like the Aer does decent key hooks with like proper gated clips, unlike some companies like Bellroy, which also always for some reason like cheap out on here. And with that out of the way, you can see it's just like a big simple dump pocket, kind of contrast line stitching the standard Aer gray. I like it. It's very easy to use this pocket, very easy to dump stuff in here, and then the fact that it has this key leash means that it's pretty easy to fish your keys out no matter what you have inside of that pocket there. All right, and then finally, like I will mention, when you're wearing the bag's here, whip it open with one hand, it's really easy to kind of just look straight down and see what you have inside of there. Flipping the bag around to the back, we're going to see there's a sort of hidden, it's not quite hidden, because I guess you can technically find it fairly easily, but because it's sort of sewn with this extra zipper flap covering the zipper track, and then it's flat up against your back and sort of flat, and it has a lower profile zipper pull, you have this sort of hidden flat pocket that runs the length of the back here. It's slightly tapered at the bottom, as you can see, but it basically takes up this whole surface. And inside of here, I just have a couple of masks, just in case I need them, and I guess I have a Band-Aid in there as well. And this is a fairly flat area, and they show, for example, you keep your passport or a card, like a Metro card, transit card in there or something like that. Something you want quick access to, but want to be a little bit more secure. So this one's, again, against your back, so it's a little bit more secure. You can put your phone in here. I did start out by keeping my phone in here, and then I ended up putting it in the main compartment, which I'll show you later. Just for me, I found that to be a little bit easier to use. But again, I like that this was a nice flat pocket. And it lets you just kind of put some of these essential things, again, masks or Band-Aids or something like that, maybe receipts or something like that. In the bag without having it clutter up the interior of the compartment. Doesn't take up any space because it is, again, flat objects, and it doesn't take up an internal organization pocket. So for me, I like that they have this option here. So before we get into the interior of the bag here, let's talk about the load carriage system. Now this bag has, I guess, one handle, one hanging loop, and then the main strap here. So we'll talk about it in that order. So here's the carry handle. It's super low profile and unobtrusive. It's got a little bit of padding, like I guess there's a little bit of cushioning or rubber foam or something like that in there. Very, very simple construction, stays out of the way, unobtrusive. You don't even see it from the front when you're wearing it. When you carry the bag like this, you're going to have a bit of a cant, as you can see, because of the way it's inlined versus the center of gravity of the bag. And the bigger problem is you have this dangling strap everywhere. So I always carry it like this when I'm carrying it by the handle. As I've mentioned, usually that's it's laying on the table with the strap being all like this. And I'll pick it up, kind of grab it like this, and I'll move it from one area to another. You're not going to be carrying the bag by this handle, for any extended period of time, but it's nice that it has it there. Although this bag is seriously small enough, you could just kind of pick it up and football it or purse it if you'd like. You have this hanging loop, which I previously talked about. Again, I don't think that there's any good way of leaving a carabiner or a hero hook attached, because it just dangles around too much because it's too loose. This does look a little weird, just kind of hello, hanging out there. There's no way to tuck it in the side or anything like that. But if you want to hang this at home, on a hook from a wall, I think it's a nice option. You could try hanging the hero clip on here. I tried that, it just felt awkward, then it would hit against my back when I had it on here. So next, let's talk about the shoulder strap on this bag here. Now, I have already talked a little bit about the most notable part of this, which is sort of it kind of tends to flop around a little bit when you set it down. And that's largely due to, I think, the lack of easy adjustability for this bag. Now, there are different kinds of slings out. No, to be clear, every sling out there is going to have some amount of issue with straps kind of laying around. It's just it's a long amount of strapping that needs to be dealt with. And they have a variety of different ways of dealing with that. Some of them, I guess, more, have ways of hiding it more effectively or of more or less utility than others. Something like the Aer Day Sling 3, for example, is one that I think does it fairly okay. Something like the Black Ember TKS is one that does it really just painfully, right? For this one, there's no way of hiding it, but that's okay, because I feel the most effective way of dealing with strapping when it comes to a sling is just make it really easy to adjust the strap. And what I would do is I would shorten the strap here. And it's important to watch, this is a two-part operation, which is not usually common for these things. And then I would be able to kind of hide it underneath the sling when I set it down there or whatever. This one, you can obviously adjust the strap length, but as you can see, it's a very frictionful and multi-step process. And the reason for that is that this strap only has a single point of adjustment right here, and it's quite a frictionful one. This buckle, this fidlock buckle, is kept in place here, and this has friction here, and this has a lot of friction. So normally with a sling, what you would do is you would throw it over your shoulder. You pick it up, you throw it over your shoulder. It's really loose, so it's easy to wear. And then you would just put a finger here, and you would just pull up and shorten it. But this one, you can't just really pull up. It's very frictional. I'm not exaggerating this. And when you do, you still have to then pull this length down here. This is, watch, you can't just, well, I guess you can do it when you have it off of you, where there's no weight on it. But you can see then we have to pull here. Normally you can just pull once and then it just shortens. And then the opposite, so we've got it shortened up here. Let me pull this back down here. When you're wearing it, when there's weight on there, it's really hard to just cinch it up. You need both hands to do it. And then to pull it down, you can kind of go like this, but you can see again, we still have this here. You gotta go like this. Two parts, very frictionful. Now, that's not all bad, right? One of the advantages of having this friction is that this strap will not ever slip or lose its length adjustment, which is important because you have a fairly heavy amount of load out in here if you put the tablet and a bunch of other stuff in there. So it is good that it has sort of that stability. There are definitely bags out there that don't have that, and the strap is always losing its place, which is really annoying. Now, How much this is a pro or con to you, this kind of stability of positioning, but also friction of adjustability, depends on if you're a person who likes to use this clip-in, clip-out system. I am not. Some people, I know, they'll go like, they'll unclip the sling somehow, and they'll put it on like this, and then they'll clip themselves back in. I don't do that. Like, so I just kind of tend to raise my hands more than normal and, you know, just put it on and off like that. Anyway, something to notice. Like, I did wish that this strap were more easily adjustable, but that's really the only criticism I have of this strap. It's actually surprisingly comfortable to wear. I've carried this around all day, fully loaded out like I've shown you in here, and it's been quite comfortable, surprisingly so for what a simple strap this is. And finally, the last thing I will say is, like, besides the comfort, like when you're wearing the bag, because I previously mentioned, like, it's fairly stable, even though it kind of tends to hang and it's a little bit heavy. So normally something like this would be pendulous and would swing a lot. The broad surface kind of helps provide some stability when you're wearing it, and it doesn't really sway that much. And again, it's comfortable, and I didn't find it was like flapping against me. Just a really nice way of carrying this kind of load and this kind of weight, I think, in a very simple system. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior pockets and main compartment of this bag. Dual YKK zippers, standard Aer zipper pulls, fairly quiet for how dangly they are. Reverse coil YK zipper, and opening it up, and now you're looking, the front of the bag is the back of the bag. Immediately you can see 4 stretch pockets, 1 zipper pocket here, and then the tablet pocket. So let's talk about these zipper pockets. So now we're looking, this is the inside front of the bag, top of the bag, front of the bag, inside front. 2 mesh pockets here. They're slightly smaller than the 2, so I get my phone out of the way here. The 2 mesh pockets here, but they're made out of the same kind of mesh. These are a little bit wider, and then these are a little bit smaller. So what I have inside of here, these are the inside front pockets. I have the Master and Dynamics NW08 headphones, earbuds, I mean. I have my Bellroy Apex wallet. I have a coin pouch. Got some Tylenol because I have had headaches recently. And that's it for these 2. You could obviously fit a little bit more. I like that they kind of stay flush when you're not using them, but then they can expand and hold things even if they're a little bit bulkier, you know, fairly securely. These front inside pockets I found tended to gape a little bit more than these flatter ones inside. So looking at these 4 organizational pockets, here I have a Bellroy note taker with the pen in there. And again, you can see like this pocket lays flat when you're not using it. And then in this one over here, I have an Anker wireless USB MagSafe battery. And then I've got like a granite gear pouch with a bunch of little EDC doodads in there, and that's really it. And then there's these 2 flat pockets here. Now, what I really like about the way that this bag is constructed is there's like this organization that helps keep things out of the way while still allowing you to use the single voluminous large main compartment. And for me, like, that's the best way, or one of the best ways to build a bag, is to give you that capability of like using the main compartment for bigger things while still giving you enough organization to keep things handy and easily accessible, so you're not fighting everything in a jumbled mess or going too far in another direction and trying to proscribe too strictly a pocket for everything that either hopefully matches with what you carry or doesn't. I'll talk about this main compartment here in a moment, but first I wanted to talk about the rest of the internal pockets of here. So looking here, you see the star of the show, which is the tablet pocket. I should take the note taker out here. And this is an 11-inch iPad Pro with a keyboard cover, and it fits fairly nicely in there. And I say fairly though, because what you can see here is there's no like it doesn't have, it's not like a little rectangle, which is like, if you look at this is a rectangle, right? In a way. And I would expect to see like a distinct rectangular here, 90-degree angle, flat, 90-degree angle. And it's really like a pocket with some, not even flex or mesh, it just kind of has enough fabric that you can, and it's wide enough that you can fit the iPad in here, but it doesn't have a distinct edge. And that has an implication for this front zipper pocket, which I'll talk about in a moment here. But anyway, talking about this, like you can certainly fit this in here. It's comfortable enough to fit, although there's a little bit of tightness that you can see. Like you kind of just push in a little bit to make sure you clear the zipper track. But it's not too bad, actually, all things considered. You can also fit the magic pencil. Usually I just have this up here, and it does a decent job of retaining that. And there's a little bit of like extra space in here, so I think technically you could put like a notebook or something like that. You could put like something like this in there if you wanted to. I just happen to keep mine in here. Now, you can see something though, which is when I've got this in here, you can see this is sort of like flexing weird. It's because it's a little bit tight. So I wish they put a little bit of mesh in here so that the pocket plane would like kind of push out a little bit more with a little bit more elasticity, or they had kind of sewn like a proper rectangle so that it kind of fit in like a proper laptop type slot. But anyway, there is the zipper pocket here, but it's a little bit tight to use. You can kind of see like it's sort of just warping. It's because it's sort of stretching in against this tablet, which is long and rectangular, even though the pocket is just flat, it has no dimension. So it makes it a little bit harder to use this flat zipper pocket. I am glad that they have the zipper pocket in here. All I have in here is a like microfiber cloth for my tablet. Oh, and actually, I'm sorry, and also like a iPhone or phone stand in here. But I do wish that it had a little bit more like shaping or mesh or something, so this pocket were a little bit less tight. It is kind of hard to get in here when this is in here, especially if you've got something else like this in here. You can see it's just a little bit fussy. But all things considered, that is a very minor nitpick, and beggars certainly can't be choosers. And I think overall, when it comes to like carrying tablets with the Magic Keyboard, like this is one of the best in a sling form factor. This is one of the best slings on the market. Finally, you've got this remaining main big compartment. Like I already said, I like that it's kind of large and has a decent capacity, even though you've got this organization that keeps things out of the way. So you can both use the main volume and get things out there. I keep my phone in here because it's super easy to access that way, and it just find it fits very well. But as I said, it does have some amount of space in here. You can see sort of that pleat I mentioned at the bottom. It actually kind of expands out if you wanted. Like you can see here, like it naturally wants to kind of pleat in like that, but you can use that whole space if you wanted to. For example, if you wanted to carry like a small camera, this is Sony RX100 Mark VII, that easily fits in there. You can zip that up, no problems. It doesn't feel tight or anything like that. It comfortably fits in there. You can throw some glasses in there, throw your phone in there. You can see already we've got, you know, a fair amount of stuff in there, and it's still very comfortable to carry, and you've got the tablet. This is all you need for a perfect mobile productive day out. If you wanted to carry a water bottle, this is the Microlight 500 milliliter. This is probably the lightest water bottle out there. I'm not going to say you can't do it. You certainly can carry this one. It's starting to get a little bit awkward. Like two things. One, it does this. I mean, it always does that, so maybe that's okay. It feels a little awkward, but like two, like you can see, we're definitely stretching the limits of what this bag is. And you need to carry a water bottle sideways next to your tablet. That's a little bit dangerous. I wouldn't personally do that. Anything much larger than this, though, I don't think you're going to be able to fit in here. That's definitely where you're running up against the limitations of this 6-liter sling. But anyway, other than that, though, I think that this has, you know, got a great kind of mix of like organization and voluminous capacity with this tablet pocket. It's just a really great choice, in my opinion, for people who want to have that sort of like, you know, like as small as possible, but still have all the tools for a really productive all day out in the city. And so with that having been said, if you're in the market for a bag like this, what are some other bags that you might want to consider? Well, as I mentioned, this is actually an area where there's surprisingly very little, like very few options. And in this area, I mean like the ability to carry like enough stuff for like a day out, and also be able to carry a tablet with the keyboard cover. So here are the options. First and foremost, the Alpaca Gear Bravo X Sling. This is the V2, I think. I haven't reviewed an Alpaca Gear bag yet on this channel, but I actually have a lot of their stuff. They're probably the only other major game in town in terms of like slings and tablets. Like they have a lot of slings that are designed for different kinds of tablet carry, including like the 12-inch iPad Pro, including the 11-inch iPad Pro with the keyboard cover, which is where this one is, and a few other smaller ones, whatever. That having been said, like They're up and coming, but I still find like their overall construction and material choice and design resolution a little bit wanting. They've definitely been growing by leaps and bounds. It's been kind of interesting to see how they've evolved and upped their game. Again, I don't think they're quite there into like the echelon of like some of like the bigger, more established bag makers just yet, but like it is a brand that I've been watching with some interest. So this one is a decent choice. It's the one I've been using for iPad Carry, iPad Pro keyboard cover Carry, before the Aer Day Sling 3 Max. My biggest dissatisfaction with this one is like its overall bulk to like, capacity. It holds a lot, but it's kind of inefficient in other ways, partially due to the design. You do see you got that same kind of like general like shaping, but like for example, this one holds, I would say maybe just as much or possibly even slightly, maybe just as much as this other one, but it's just a little bit of a bulkier bag. I guess it's a little bit hard to see on here, but it is a bit of a bulkier bag, especially when you're wearing it. And I find that it doesn't use the space as well. It also has some odd choices, like Alpaca here does this weird thing where like a lot of their bags have this ugly plastic, it has like a SIM card holder in there, I think, or SIM card tool. I think you're supposed to be able to fit a SIM card or two in there, because why wouldn't you want to have your SIM card in a plastic thing on the external side of your bag? I don't know. This is so terrible. It has like a USB pass-through that you can like theoretically connect a cable, and then you're supposed to put a battery bank in here. It's just, I wish they would get rid of this. It's so ugly. It's so stupid. They have a lot of interesting pocketing. Things are a little bit tight. They're using the right kind of materials. They're doing the right kind of things, but it just needs a little bit more love and attention. This is their magnetic hub system, where it's just some sort of like magnet-like thing that you can buy different little modules for, whatever. Anyway, a decent choice, especially if you're looking for something to wear a little bit higher and tighter on the bag. I personally feel like this one, I mean, not personally, this one has absolutely replaced the need for this one in my daily life though. Another option, this is also from Alpaca Gear. This is an older one. This is the Alpha Sling. This is a flat sling. This is the V1. They have a V2 now. It's definitely carries a lot less than this one. It's a flatter design, but some people might like that. You can fit some stuff. You'll tend to get a little bit of like, bulging, but if you, for example, only have like, like a very slim wallet, your tablet, maybe a notebook, and like, a very small amount of keys or something like that, or like, and wired earbuds, this will be a great choice for you. If you start getting into like bulkier keys or like bigger, wireless noise canceling earbuds, this one starts to bulge out weirdly. Anyway, an interesting choice, especially if you're looking for like a slightly slimmer kind of portfolio style type of like a sling that also carries an 11-inch iPad Pro with the keyboard cover. And a little bit of extra essentials here. Not a bad choice. And finally, we have the modern Dayfarer sling. This was the original like tablet carry sling that I used to use. I like this bag a lot. It's a little bit older. I don't know if they have a new version of this one or not yet. It's more of like a little messenger style bag, if you can see, versus this one, which is definitely more of like a sling. This one's got a little bit of a messenger style type vibe going on. Not quite, it's just a little bit more rectangular. It's definitely still a sling, but especially these little wings and such here. It's an interesting sling. It is more rectangular. You do have a couple of internal organization stretch pockets and a flat zipper pocket, as well as the laptop storage pocket and a main compartment for dumping some stuff in there. And so you see it does have some dimension on the side there. So similar to the Aer Day Sling 3 Max in that capacity, in that sense. Also a front pocket here and also a reverse pocket here, and actually the handle I felt was quite similar here. Fidlock buckles, so actually a lot of like the same kind of materials and approach, but just in a slightly different form factor. This one definitely holds more than this one though, but if you like the form factor, you might want to consider this. And so really that's it. If you have any questions about this bag, go ahead and leave those in the comments below, and if I can, I will answer them. And if you have anything that you would like me to review, go ahead and leave those in the comments below, and if I can, I will try and review that. Thank you very much.